Our next awardee this evening is Darcel D. Clark, Bronx County District Attorney and alumna of the Talent Search Project at the Tremont Improvement Program Neighborhood House, TIP, and the Student Support Services Project at Boston College. Ms. Clark.
Good evening. First of all, this panel of honorees is awesome, don't you think? So inspirational. I'm like, what am I doing up here? You know? But you know, it's a great thing. Thank you to the Council on Opportunities in Education and to TRIO. You have made such an impact on the lives of so many people, not just the 8 of us here, but just hundreds of thousands of young people each and every day have the opportunity to seek out education because of the work that you do, and all of you in the audience. I have such tremendous hope for our future because there are people like you that understand that this is important work that has to happen for our young people. You know, the work that I do each and every day, I see the other end of young people, unfortunately. And it's not a sight that I enjoy sometimes because they're either the victims of crimes or they're accused of crimes. And either way, it's not a good place for a young person to be. But for you to provide these opportunities for them means so much. So thank you for the work that you do. My story is no different than so many other people here, you know, and you don't really understand where you fit in the world until you're in a room with other people who have experienced similar things. I too was the first in my family to go to college. Growing up in the housing projects in the Bronx, going to New York City public schools, nobody would ever thought that this, you know, poor girl from the projects in the Bronx would achieve so much. And I knew that I wanted to do well, and I knew that I wanted to do something for my community, but you gotta know how to do it. I mean, I had great parents, both of them very community-minded. You know, my mother was the Residents Association president, the PTA president. She worked at the polls. You know, she did everything in the neighborhood. And my father worked for the Housing Authority, the same housing project where we lived. So I knew about community and what it meant to live in a community and serve the same community in which you live. So that was the easy part for me to know. But the thing was that I was good in school. I loved school. I remember when there was a strike in the New York City public schools, I cried because I couldn't go to school. My friends were like, what's wrong with you, you know? No school and you crying? But, you know, I liked school and I did well. And when I went on to high school, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. Everybody told me, you're always arguing, you're taking people's side, you know. That was my personality, and I wanted to do it, but I didn't know any lawyers. I had never met a lawyer, you know, when I was a kid, but I knew that I wanted to be one and I could be a good one. So what did I do? I went to the high school guidance counselor. I said, look, I'm good in school. I'm an honor student. I want to go to college. I want to be a lawyer. What do I do? And like so many of you, it's the same story. You should probably be a secretary, you know? And like, there's nothing wrong with being a secretary if you want to be a secretary. But I told that woman I wanted to be a lawyer. So I knew that I couldn't. It's just not the same thing. So I had to find another way to show me how to navigate this process in order to get into college and eventually law school. So I had to seek out into the community. And thank God for the TIP Talent Search Program that was there for me and so many other people to show me the way. I didn't know. And somebody is here from TIP, Ivan Hannibal. Ivan, where are you? I love Ivan. We have kept in touch all of these years. It's more than 40 years later, and Ivan can pick up the phone and call me, Darcel, I need you to speak to this kid. I'm right there and doing it. And he's still educating young people each and every day. Thank you, Ivan, for what you do. You've made such an impact on my life and so many other lives. So the rest was history. You know, she told me I couldn't go. That meant I had to go. Then I started looking into colleges, and TIP took me, on trips to college campuses. They gave us fee waivers for the college applications. They showed us how to do the applications. And I set my heart on Boston College because the view book was so beautiful. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. And when I went to BC, it looked exactly like the book. I couldn't believe it. But that was the first time I was out of the Bronx, so what did I know, And Father Michael is here from Boston College, still supporting me. I'm still connected to Boston College to this day. 20 years on the Board of Trustees, so, I know what that all meant so much to me. But every time somebody told me that I couldn't do something meant that I had to do it. So they said, don't go to Boston. Oh, my God, 1979, a black girl, they're still turning over school buses in Boston. Don't go there. Had to go to B.C. That's just how it had to be. And I went there and I did well. But, of course, 4 years at Boston College, many times I was the only one that looked like me in the classroom. There were very few of us there. But we had a bond with each other to make sure that we all got through it together. And I had a great education at BC, but after 4 years and being the first time out of the Bronx, I needed to go somewhere else, So I said I need to go to a city that was more culturally diverse or a law school that was more culturally diverse. Why not go to Howard University in Washington, D.C.? So again, and that was a different experience, believe it or not. So BC, it was us and them, it's like, you knew what you had to do. It was confusing going to a Howard where everybody looked like you, but they didn't always accept you. I mean, I came from the housing projects in New York. I went to a predominantly white school. I went to school now with people who had legacies at Howard. They came from Fisk and Hampton and Lincoln and everywhere else. And their parents had, were professionals, judges and doctors. And I didn't have that. But I still, again, so that meant maybe you don't belong here. Well, once again, once somebody tells me I shouldn't be there, I got to be there. So 3 years at Howard as class president, all 3 years they knew, like, I'm not the type. You can't tell me, what I can and cannot do once I have my mind made up. So I'm going to do it anyway. So I went on to Howard, and after that career there at Howard, it was great. I could have gone anywhere in this country as a lawyer, but I wanted to come back to New York. I wanted to come back to the Bronx because I knew that I owed something to that community that brought me up, and I wanted to do that. So I started my legal career as an assistant district attorney in the Bronx, and here we are 33 years later, full circle. I'm now the district attorney of the Bronx. And it was a journey along the way, 13 years as an assistant. I decided, okay, I know this, I understand this, I want to be a judge now. People telling you, well, you got to wait your turn. Don't tell me that. If you tell me that, I'm telling you what's going to happen. And sure enough, it did. So in 1999, I was appointed to my first judicial position by Mayor Giuliani, a Republican, a tough time here in New York City. And, I told you my mother ran the polls and everything else at the Board of Election. So he's like, my family was like, Giuliani, oh, we don't like him, But when he appointed me a criminal court judge, the best mayor New York City ever had. The best mayor. And then I went on to be elected to the Supreme Court and sure enough to be appointed to the appellate division. I spent 16 years on the bench presiding over criminal trials and doing appeals. And it was work that I loved. And like a lot of people never get there, By the time I stepped down from the bench to run for DA, I was one of 50 appellate judges in this entire state, and I walked away from that. And the reason why I did it is because I wanted to continue to find that job where I could have the most impact on the lives of the people that I serve, because I knew it was public service. So when I spoke to my husband, who's an NYPD detective, 35 and a half years, on the job. I got the real law and order in my house, so, you know. If you need a TV show, I'm good, you know, let me know. Let me know. You know, I mean, I had to step away from that, step down, run without a job or whatever, but, you know, I stepped out on faith. You know, I had support from my family. My mother-in-law thought I was kind of crazy because, you know, she said, and, you know, she was very proud of the fact that I was a judge. So, okay, you're a judge, and you're going to step down? Yes. And you want to run for DA? Yeah. And somebody's going to run against you? Yeah. So there's a possibility you could lose. Yeah. Okay, so you won't be a judge. You won't be a DA if you lose. And that makes sense to you? It's like, well, when you put it like that, no. You know, but thank God, you know, that it worked out. So a little less than 3 years ago, I became the 13th district attorney of the Bronx, the first woman to be district attorney in the Bronx. And the first African-American woman to be elected district attorney in the state of New York. And it's a job that I love. And people say, well, isn't a judge higher than a DA? I said, well, you know, I had to think about that. And it was like, well, there's 1,300 judges in New York State, and there's one Bronx DA. I think it works out fine. So I like that math. But anyway, none of this would have been possible without me walking into those doors of Tip Talent Search and meeting Ivan Hannibal and John DeVoe and all those folks that believed in young people in our community that we had the potential to do what we do now. So in closing, I just want to say that the theme of my life is every time somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm going to do it anyway. All right? So I want to share with you a prayer or a poem by Mother Teresa that's called Do It Anyway, which, you know, I guide myself on. I use it as an inspiration to young people and to just all people, especially in this time where people are no longer civil to each other. You know, there's so much meanness and everything, and so many people trying to discourage you from doing what you want. Please do it anyway. So people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find sincerity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway, because in the final analysis, it's between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. Thank you so much. God bless.